Hello, free-thinking, degenerate rat bastards. How are you today? Welcome to the Sleeping Man Podcast. Boy, do we have an exciting one today. It just seems these things just keep they're going to keep getting stranger and stranger. I'm just warning you in advance, believe me. But the one today, it's a component of the Terror Rule podcast where we got into a lot of stuff. It was very interesting. We've all had these experiences, but nothing like this. We're talking about Bigfoot, aliens, and UFOs today. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. You're about to turn me off, but listen to this. From what I understand, and I've heard this in the back of my mind before, and the Bigfoot expert in the Adirondack said that this is true, so it must be. There is evidence that there is like an interdimensional connection between UFOs, aliens, and Bigfoot. Now, what do we know? Bigfoot's big, hairy, and smells by all counts when people have met him. The other side to that is aliens are small, hairless, and they don't have any scent that we know of. So I'm not sure what these two are doing together as they cross the universe and go through these dimensional wormholes or all the shit, however they get there. I'm not even sure how Bigfoot does that. It seems pretty primitive. Maybe they come down here and hunt rabbits together, squirrels, who knows? I don't know. But let's get right to it. I give you Jude Goldman, Terror Rule, and yours truly. What was the thing with the alien, though? You did have an alien story.
Oh my gosh. I will start by saying I thought Bigfoot was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. That is the stupidest thing. That makes no sense. That's stupid. Also, like, why does no one have pictures or videos of this thing? And the ones that do, they're not very good. So I thought it was a complete...
You always see the shitty picture.
Yeah, and I thought it didn't make any sense. So I'm hiking with my fiance, and he's, like, very sensitive to things. So he's like, oh, something's weird. What do you mean? He's like, something's around. I'm like a ghost? And he's like, I don't know about that. So I'm just like looking around and I see something, this big black something, like maybe from here to the door. So what's that, 10 feet away from me?
Right.
And I'm like, is that a stump or something? Because it's like daylight. And I'm like, what the heck is
This
that?
was daylight.
This is daylight.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're like walking closer to it. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, is that like fur on it? Like, what is that? And he just goes, oh my God. And I'm like, no, really, what is that? And it stands up and it's like 9 feet tall and it looks like,
oh my God,
a fucking monkey. I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Weird.
It was huge. And there was a really bad smell. So, I mean, I just run.
Where were in the Adirondacks?
Yeah, I was on, it wasn't Hadley Mountain. It was, gosh, what was it? It's like a weird, I can't think of the name of it. It's like maybe 15 minutes from Hadley Mountain.
So what was it doing? Taking a nap?
I don't know what it was doing, but it scared me. And I
was, beauty
He saw
sleep.
it too, though. You both saw
oh yeah,
it.
and when I say I ran for a mile down
Nobody
the
got a
mountain,
picture though. You didn't get a picture.
That was my thought. So at first when I was like, what is that? I took out my phone because I'm like, maybe I don't know what it is. What is that? It looks interesting.
You were like, work it.
And then when it stood up and it was so big and it was like I've encountered bears and like, elk and stuff like that. And
Did
like,
you see the face or was it like?
it was really dark. Like it was hard to describe. It almost looked like it was kind of shrouded in darkness. And I don't know how to really describe that. It was like, I couldn't see the face that well.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think it was like spiritual?
I don't know.
Like
it kind of felt that way because I've
projection or something?
encountered wildlife. Like
Yeah.
one time I got way too close to a black bear with newborn cubs during mating season. I was not paying attention to what I was doing. I look over and I was like, ugh. And she kind of stands up and starts growling and I'm like terrified because I'm like, I'm going to die.
Right.
I felt terrified in this situation with whatever it was that I saw on that mountain, but it was like a sense of terror and it felt really weird.
What were you smelling?
Bears are not 9 feet tall, first of all.
I can't even describe to you how big.
5 feet.
It doesn't sound that big. It's that big. 9 feet is really, really
No,
big.
that's gigantic.
It's huge.
Yeah, sure.
So it smelled weird. It was like a few minutes before and like a few seconds before it kind of like would come and go. It honestly smelled like really, really severe decomp, like
Oh, wow.
a body that's been laying around for a long time. But there was no smell on the way
yeah.
up.
Did you hear anything?
No sound.
Wow.
And I kept running, and my fiance kept looking behind him, and I was like, "Is it gone?" He's like, "Don't look back." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Don't look back." And we got down the mountain. I'm like, "What did you see?" He's like, "It was like trailing us. Like
Oh my
every time
God.
I looked back,
Wow.
it was closer to us."
Weird.
So I'm like, that wasn't real. I don't believe it. So we're driving and we drive past. I screamed. I didn't expect it. A huge Bigfoot statue on the side of the road. I
No
screamed because
way.
I was like already scared and on edge.
Yeah.
Then we keep driving and there's a place like Bigfoot something. I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, welcome to Whitehall. And I like go on my phone.
Yeah.
And I guess Whitehall, New York is like Bigfoot capital of the world or something.
I
Oh,
didn't know that.
I didn't know that
Wow.
either.
So
I think that's where Maggie was from.
Don't they have a Star Trek set up in Whitehall?
maybe.
What's going on in
What
Whitehall?
the hell's going on
So
up
we
there?
keep driving and we end up at this convenience store and this truck pulls in. On the side, it says Bigfoot Society of Northern New York. And I was
my
like,
God.
no way, I got to talk to this guy. So I'm like, first of all, I don't believe in Bigfoot, but I think maybe I saw a Bigfoot. And he's like, okay, listen. He's like, the classic Bigfoot experience is a Bigfoot experience and then immediately an extraterrestrial experience. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get out of this weird town. Like, I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm sick of
I'm
this.
never hiking again.
So we're driving and I see what I thought was a tall cell phone tower, like blue light. And
Right.
we're getting closer and it's like, I'm like, what is that?
This is
One
the same
light-
day.
This is like 45 minutes later.
Later. Okay.
Because it got dark. One light goes like to the right and goes off. I'm like, maybe that was a plane, I guess. This other one is like seemingly coming at us and we're driving down a country road through the Adirondacks going back home and it's getting closer and closer. I'm like, maybe that's like a drone or something, you know, like what is that? And all of a sudden, I'm not exaggerating, it comes straight down and is right next to the window, like up where the telephone lines are.
What?
That close. No sound, nothing, about the size of a car.
Wow.
And it was kind of this like pulsating blue light. It kind of looked like a jellyfish or something, like
Yeah.
the way it behaved. It didn't look like a solid craft. And there was a truck behind us and they completely stopped and pulled over on the side of the road. I was excited. I was like, honey, look. And he's just like driving as fast as he can.
Oh,
But
you kept going?
yeah. And
Yeah.
I told him to go back because I didn't get a video of it. And we did go back and I
was
got
gone.
a video. No, it came back.
Oh,
It
you're
was
kidding
sitting
me.
right at the end of the road, and the same thing happened. As soon as I pulled out my phone, the light went straight up. But this other enormous thing, I'm talking the size of like a football field, appears. And I have a video of it, and I have no idea what it was.
Oh, you got to send us the video.
I will send it to you. It was enormous.
Because we'll put that up on this interview. I think we're going to break this up into 2 interviews. We'll have
Probably, yeah.
and then we'll
Maybe you
have
should put this one first so I have some credibility. Because, so they're like, oh yeah, this is the crazy census girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, lady.
I have seen a UFO in a field. I was with my high school girlfriend, her mother. We were coming back from a movie at Pizza Hut. We were over by a place called the Tom Hannock Reservoir, which has had some peculiar things happen over there.
Yeah.
And we were driving, and as we're driving along, we look over, and there is this gigantic, I don't know, maybe 150 feet, 200 feet, orange glowing thing in the field,
Wow.
hovering above the field. No noise, making
Silent.
making no noise, but it is suspended in air. And they get scared. I go to get out of the car. I'm gonna
Right.
run. I'm running
That's
into the
what
field.
I'm like, pull over.
Yeah, no cameras. So
Right.
I this is 1930 or something like that.
Oh,
No It was like 1979. So no cameras. And so my inclination is I'm going over to get on this thing and surf it or ride it or
Oh my God!
That was
really?
my thought too. I'm
Yeah.
like, take me with you.
yeah.
Wow.
So I convinced them to turn around and go back, and it was gone. It had left. But it was, and I don't know how something that big could have just left without us seeing it. That was the other thing. So for years, I have been, I just drove by that place recently because it's on the way to where my factory is, and I went back just to see if
We
there
should
was.
go.
Yeah,
I want
just
to
to
see if it
see.
shows up. I want to go back to this road because this thing literally stayed on that road, and I was like, we have to turn around, and he's like, no, and it sat there. And as soon as we pulled onto the road, same thing. Started driving right next to us, came right, like literally it illuminated the car. It was like,
Wow.
it was, I mean, how far up are telephone poles? Maybe
And your fiance wasn't bugging? at this point?
Oh,
or
he was freaking out.
Yeah.
He was terrified. I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever
Yeah.
seen. I thought it was beautiful. But interestingly enough, he's very sensitive. And he's like, I didn't want to go back because of all the lights. I'm like, what lights? He's like, all the lights that were surrounding us. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it looked like there was like 1 million planes pointing their high beams at us. I'm like, what?
And you were like, you didn't even.
And I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
And even the craft that showed up in the video,
Yeah.
like the huge, gigantic one, I didn't see that. He did. But I'm pointing my camera right at it. I'm looking with my eyes to get this like blue orb.
Yeah.
And there's no traffic. You can't see a skyline. This is the middle of a cornfield with not a house in sight for about 5 or 6 miles.
Yeah. You've got handcuffs and bear spray. You're going to go get yourself an alien.
Right, exactly. So
Right.
Wait,
I want.
what is the Bigfoot UFO
I
correlation?
don't know. So the guy told me that I guess Bigfoot showed up. There was something that happened. I'm probably going to screw up the name. Maybe like the Catskill event or something. He said in the 70s something happened where there was a bunch of UFO sightings kind of in this area. And they kept happening and they were kind of investigating it. And something happened where a bunch of UFOs showed up. Something happened and it kind of like knocked out the power grid
Okay.
for like a few hours or something. Immediately after that, people started to see this big 9-foot tall
Interesting.
creature that kind of looked like some kind of like gorilla.
Oh,
or
you mean
something.
there was more reportings on the creature?
Yeah, there was no reportings prior to that.
Right.
And they were just like, what is this thing?
I wonder if they're one and the same. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That's, I don't, it felt very weird. So like the encounter, it didn't feel like I encountered an animal. And that's the only thing I have to say about it. It felt, this is going to sound weird.
Bad cologne.
It felt like, right? It felt like a spiritual experience. And it was very terrifying, but it wasn't terrifying and like I saw a demon or something. You know what I mean? It just, it almost felt like that was my brain's way of processing what I was seeing, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
No, yeah,
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going on that trail again,
No.
ever.
Yeah.
That was the scare. I don't even know if I literally love hiking and I have been too scared to go hiking since. It was,
Have you really?
oh, it was that I'm
Yeah.
horrified. It was so scary.
Yeah. Well, 9-foot hairy thing. That's scary. And Harvey Weinstein wasn't around then,
He was
so it couldn't have
not
been him. Yeah.
around.
So
I don't know. I'll have to look up what the trail was called and send it to you.
Yeah.
It's like a weird name. It starts with a P, I think.
but you can send us
Wait,
the
you're not
video.
prepping us for the next movie, are you?
No.
Oh, we're being
All
yeah.
right.
No.
Okay.
No, I can't make a Bigfoot movie. I believe in anything, everything except Bigfoot. And I am so frustrated because I still kind of don't believe in Bigfoot, even though I saw
Big.
I guess I saw
Something that
Bigfoot. That's so
matches the label.
stupid.
And even more interesting, you then saw alien spacecraft.
And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
people were like, I didn't take a picture or video because I was too scared. I was scared because I had my phone out. I was about to shoot a video and it stood up and it was looking right at me. I'm like, am I going to anger it by doing that? I didn't think. I ran.
Yeah.
I ran.
I got to tell you, the Instagram, there's so much fascinating stuff on Instagram. You got to sort through what's real. But they never have a clear, like all of the shit that the government, here we're supposed to be able to read a dime on the
Right.
ground from outer space.
Right.
The government can't, all they send us is this Tic Tac bullshit.
Right.
You know, we never see like what the real deal is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that's not planned.
Yeah, apparently they have it. They just don't release it to
Yeah,
us.
they don't release it to us. So Bob Lazar and all
Yeah.
those guys have said, "Oh yeah, it's there." So, but it's always a cloudy fucking picture. Nobody,
Mhm.
you know.
And the Pentagon says it's real now, right?
Yeah, and just recently, just to throw some fuel on this fire, I'm going to have to look it up, but there was at one point they said they had an agreement with our government and these aliens to pick up, 5 or 6 aliens at certain times during the year, like on October 9th or whatever it was, in animals, and they would do experiments with them. And they have all these pictures of these disregarded corpses that have the same, whether it's a cow, a goat, or a human being, they have the same, it looks like the same probing mechanisms were used into the body. And they're dead, they're corpses. And one was a goat on top of a pole that was about 30 feet in the air.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually have a video of a cow coming through the top story of a building into the rest of the cow.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. Just
And
to
like
get,
who? If a person's doing that, who?
Yeah. and
Yeah, who
why?
could do it?
Who
That's
could
the
do it? You
yeah.
have to have a plane that opens from underneath.
It's a cow. I mean,
It's a cow.
Yeah,
Was the cow dead?
a cow weighs like no. They dropped it and it landed on the rest of the cows. It was nighttime, and somebody had a video in the barn, probably in case coyotes or something get in the
Oh.
barn. It dropped it through the roof of the barn
Holy
into
crap.
the rest of the cows.
Wow.
Yeah, so it pulled it up. We didn't see that part of it, but it dropped it down, or
That
maybe
would be a complicated hoax if it was.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
too
The budget would have been extraordinary.
Yeah.
to do that, right?
do
If you were
that.
making a film,
You would need a helicopter and
exactly.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen those things though? On the
I haven't seen
on
that one. Oh.
I just wonder sometimes if they're what they are. I mean, it's a little frightening. Some of the stuff's a little frightening out there.
I mean, I've listened to the best of the fringe theories about
So yeah,
the government making pacts with aliens to feed them the human trafficking.
yeah.
They're eating humans.
And then you hear Stephen Greer, which I don't know if I believe a fucking word he says anymore, just for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons. They're all benevolent. You know what Stephen Hawking said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, we were pinging, NASA had that peer computer project where they were pinging outer space with
Yeah,
like
look
3
what
million
happens to the
computers.
superior society when it comes in and finds the primal tribes. Right. Yes, exactly. It's never good for
No,
the.
it's never good for us,
right, yeah.
So he's like, let's hope they never find us. And
Right.
he thought we were idiots because we were trying to
Right.
communicate. Stephen Hawkins was like, you don't want that to ever happen. You don't want these people to find you. And we're
I feel like if anything, this is just like some kind of weird experiment or something that like some of us volunteer to go do for whatever reason.
Probably.
And
yeah.
it's just like the experiment's not going that well. Maybe it is. I don't know.
well, there's also been a couple of reports recently. It seems like they're always coming out of London where they're saying we think we went from created beings to where they think the entire universe or Earth at any point was an experiment. It was
Yeah.
all created
Sure.
by aliens. And when we would say this stuff, this is we always are like we're always saying, did I just say that? But what we're knowing today is that this shit is not conspiracy theories.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even outlandish at this point.
Right.
No, it's not.
But also, the question is like, well, what separates us from them then, if anything? And then at that point, well, who put them where they are? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And
Well,
you know what tells you we were seated here is that, and I've said this before, but the fact that if the biosphere were to end tomorrow, all humanity would perish. But if humanity perished tomorrow, the biosphere would thrive.
right.
and you want
So
to
that
know
gives you a
something?
clue on that.
In that report, it was we've talked about it before on one of our podcasts. It was 1997, or no, 2016, 2017, London Science Journal. They had said that we are not needed here for Earth to survive.
Right.
Yeah, that we
Right.
were created beings that were placed here.
Right.
And there's really no need for us to be here.
No.
Now, exactly to your point, if we were to be extinguished tomorrow, the entire human race, Earth would go on to be all the better for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well, now, isn't that interesting? Wrapping up Sleeping Man podcast for today, but thinking, hey, are we better off without us? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to go anywhere, so I'm staying. But just say some coronavirus 1937-827 comes and wipes out humanity, leaves everything but us behind. This planet would nourish, it would go on, it would take care of itself, Mother Nature would do her thing, everything would be in abundance again, there'd be no more wars, none of the bullshit that we have. We are the most peculiar animal ever, in my opinion, when you look at the shit that we do and how we, you know what I'm talking about, especially in today's day and age. But with that said, I want to say, don't forget to head off to True Stories and Tall Tales at the YagiBoxPodcast.com. Check us out. Some great interviews there. Some more coming up. Really peculiar stuff. even more peculiar than what we just talked about. But with that said, we'll see you next time.
YagiBox.com